Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me, as always, is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
Now that we are past the treacherous ticketing process of the Permission to Dance on Stage LA concert, some of you are making your plans to come out to LA for the concert, and this set of concerts, I feel, has more complications than the usual concerts with the COVID situation and other events happening in the world. So I thought I would mention some things in the news that may affect the concerts just so people are aware. So recently, Southwest Airlines canceled more than 2,000 flights on a weekend due to multiple issues, leaving passengers stranded across the U.S. And people speculated that maybe this was because of pilots or air traffic controllers protesting COVID, vaccine mandates. But
Lots of speculation.
yeah, they said that was not the reason, but I mean, that could be the reason for like some individual people, but I don't think overall that was what was happening.
We're not sure about that. It could have been.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of thing could be, Southwest is trying to downplay a movement because they don't want it to catch on, or or maybe they really just had a bunch of things that just all happened on one weekend that didn't help. Because I was reading that the way they're organized is that they go to like smaller airports, Southwest, and that helps their cost be low and has greater efficiency. But then if like one part of it falls apart, then it affects a lot of other parts of the process. They said it could happen with the way their system is set up. And especially because they had like limited staffing at places. So if one thing gets canceled, then that affects other things. And you know how with airlines, it's like the workers have to be in one city in order to help with that flight. So there's like all sorts of things going on with logistics just when things are canceled. So anyway, the point with that is that there could be a lot of volatility. There could be like, if you're flying out to LA for the BTS concert, there's like a greater than usual chance it'll be canceled or delayed. So that's something
greater than usual? Are you sure? Really? Greater than usual?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a normal amount of cancellations and delays just for like weather and stuff like that. But I feel like there's more volatility in 2021.
Okay, we don't want to scare people unnecessarily, for sure. It's greater than usual.
It just what seems like when I read the news, like there's, and there's websites that track this. So if you really want like hard data on that, it just says there's a site called Flight Aware that tells you like how many flights were canceled that day and yesterday and are going to be canceled tomorrow. And
well, here's the thing. Oh gosh, this is probably too late. But when they have like the travel insurance, when they say, hey, do you want to get travel insurance? And you always say no, because usually insurance is a scam, right?
And it costs extra.
Right. But in this case, maybe you want to get it. Because if there's some unforeseen reason why you can't make the trip or something goes wrong, you can get some kind of refund. I don't think you can get a refund on your ticket, but at least on your flight or something, you might want to think about getting more insurance.
Yeah, I was going to say, make sure your flight is the day before the concert is. Or just with enough time where if it gets canceled, you can have a plan B. Like if you need to get a different flight to replace that, or if you have to drive or something, or I don't know how far that is, but just have another plan and give yourself enough time for that. So that was going to be my advice. But yeah, I don't know if there's a lot you can do if it's like last minute and you really need to be on that flight to get to LA.
Right.
So just something to watch out for. There's also, I don't see a lot of people talking about this, so I thought I would just mention it, but it doesn't seem like a huge deal. But if you're going to LA and you're going to the airport or you're going to the train station, they want you to fill out this form that it's a really short form, and it's like you could do it online, but it's like a City of Los Angeles traveler form, and basically you just sign off and say like, yes, I am aware of what the CDC travel guidance is, and that's all it is. I don't even know the purpose of it. It's like so short, but I guess they just want to make sure everybody's aware, like, oh, you gotta wear a mask, you gotta whatever your vaccine status is, and that you're aware of what the rules are. So, I mean, you can fill it out when you get there, but it's just like another thing to remember and put it on your checklist.
Right. There's a lot of things, in the COVID era they have to keep track of.
Yeah, just make sure you're organized. And one thing I was surprised about is I heard that the Coachella Festival, which is going to be in April 2022, they originally were going to require vaccinations for everybody attending. So that means like not even any other option. It means you have to be vaccinated. But now they decided to change it to you can have a negative test.
You know why? It was going to harm their bottom line.
You think there's enough people that would have affected the... Well, they said that the tickets were
It's
all...
always down the money.
The tickets were all sold already, so wouldn't the people have known that
I
already?
don't think so, but like think about the number of people requesting refunds or returns and things like that.
Oh, maybe they were getting a lot of like negative emails, and I think that's more reasonable anyway. Just like some people can't even get the vaccine because of the side effect that they don't want to risk or whatever reason.
Yeah, there's a certain percentage of people who can't. Although to be fair, in the United States, the vast majority of people who want the vaccine can get it. Mm-hmm. The vast majority. So
Coachella, they now have basically the same requirement that SoFi Stadium has. So they've kind of like loosened up a little bit on what they were planning on doing. So that's just something to be aware of, because they might, I guess we just have to pay attention because these things can change. So whatever SoFi Stadium is saying now, there's still a chance they might change it before you get there. And so you just need to know what that is.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think most people are going to be pretty prepared. I see a lot of Army making a lot of plans for the concert already. So I'm sure that they have been paying attention to all of these type of updates. Especially if you're coming from out of state, you really need to know what's going on in
I think that people
LA.
are okay. People are pretty much okay.
Yeah, that's good. So if you tuned into the first episode of In The Soop Season 2 with BTS, which just aired on October 15th, you saw that they have a special guest with them this season. And I'm not going to do a recap of the episode, but if you have a chance to watch it, it was pretty entertaining. And they have a much bigger estate this time. It's 3 houses, so they have tons of room. And they actually renovated the houses. For some reason, I think everybody thought they built those houses from scratch, but now they said in this episode they just like renovated it quickly. Like it was very outdated decorations and wallpaper and stuff. Right. So this time they brought a special guest with them. It's a dog named Bam, and it turns out that Jungkook has a dog that he was raising that none of us knew about.
Right.
And we had seen...
He's got a dog.
Yeah. Well, I guess he has another dog too, but I don't hear that much about that other dog either. But we've seen glimpses of this dog before, because there was a teaser of In The Soop that showed a photo of BTS in front of their camper, and it had like a cartoon dog drawn next to them. So people were like, does that mean there's going to be a dog there, or is that just like trying to be a cute poster, or like who's that dog? And then we also saw that a very similar looking dog was on Jungkook's phone lock screen when he did his birthday V Live. So I don't think anyone at the time said, oh, was that Jungkook's dog? Because nobody knew about him. But they're like, oh, that's a funny picture to have for your phone lock screen. Because it was like the dog was wearing a shirt. So it was pretty funny. Right. So people thought like, okay, well, there's a dog that might be on In The Soop. Maybe it's a crew member's dog, or maybe it's a dog that just like is a wild dog that lives there in that
It's not a wild
forest.
dog. What are you talking about? Oh my God. He clearly got a dog.
Well, because
not a wild dog.
There was one of the Bon Voyage. There was just like random dogs that were there, and that was like not really explained. So it was like, oh, maybe it's a dog that just lives at that house normally, like for the tenants or whatever.
I don't think that. Would they really take that much care to train it? It's probably a dog of the BTS members.
Yeah, I mean, that is what happened. And if you watch the episode, there's some pretty cute scenes with Jungkook training the dog and disciplining him. And Bam is a young dog. They don't say the age, but I'm sure it seems like less than a year old, the way he's acting. And Jungkook said he was at a training center just prior to going to the show. And he's a Doberman, so that is actually a pretty large dog when they're fully grown. I saw that they can be 88 to 99 pounds, and It can be a black and tan or a red and tan.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a red and tan because he was brown. So yeah, they showed him. Jungkook was training him, and he was having him go to the bathroom on the puppy pad near the door.
Right. So he has a new dog.
Yeah.
He's training it.
Yes.
And
that's what's happening.
The video caught a lot of it.
Yeah. It was some very good footage. And it showed him having him go to the bathroom inside. Like, I don't know if that's a tactic or not, because like wasn't understanding why he didn't just walk the dog outside, but maybe it was a technique.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he was demonstrating some good owner behavior because he was having Bam like sit and lie down and like follow commands before giving him food, and then also he was like brushing his teeth afterwards, which is something that not a lot of owners do, but it's something they should do because like the dog's teeth, they can really attract tartar and build up, and then it's like very difficult to deal with later on. But if you're in the habit of brushing a dog's teeth, that's a very good habit to have. Another thing everybody noticed was that Bam is a Doberman and has his tail and ears intact, and a lot of times people
clip them.
Yeah, they crop the ears and they dock the tail, so that entails like surgical removal, and that's totally for cosmetic reasons, so it doesn't even make sense really. But it's kind of a traditional thing because people think, oh well, that's what the breed is supposed to look like, and I think now that's kind of not. It's like an outdated idea now, and people are more concerned about, is that humane or not. So, to put the dog through like some painful procedures, is people don't consider that humane. So it's being phased out in a lot of places, and like some countries even ban it. So I think
that's good.
Yeah, I mean there's no need to do that.
So Dobermans might look different because people are not doing these procedures.
Yeah, if they have the longer ears and
Jungkook's
tail.
Doberman doesn't have these procedures.
Right.
That's good.
And
that's excellent.
They didn't talk about that.
Yeah,
so
corgis are one of these dogs. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think corgis don't have tails.
Yeah.
But they do. And you know what happens? They clip them when they're young.
Yeah.
Which might be painful for them. And obviously unnecessary. You don't need to clip their tails.
Yeah, I mean a tail, they know what it's like to have a tail. They can.
Yeah, obviously there's nothing wrong with having a tail.
So. And people who are like, oh well, it might get caught in something. Like,
No. That's BS. They just want a dog that doesn't have a tail. Mm-hmm. It's aesthetic purely. And
I think the functional reason for it was, okay, if it's a dog that actually does work on a farm and it's around equipment and stuff, yeah, maybe. But maybe. That's not most people's experience with their dog anymore. So you don't have a working dog usually. It's like a dog that's in a house or an apartment and doesn't have a job. So there isn't really a need to do that anymore in the modern day. So I mean, they didn't talk about why that was. So I think people just assumed like Jungkook did that for humane reasons or didn't do it for humane reasons. So hopefully that was intentional and it wasn't just like, oh, he's planning to do it next week or something,
I don't think so. No.
I mean, yeah, they BTS are definitely aware of what's going on with pets, and they're very good owners otherwise. And in fact, like 5 out of 7 of them have dogs, so I'm sure they've heard of this issue before.
Oh, really? What 2 don't have dogs?
From what I know, Jin and Jimin don't have a dog.
Okay.
Jin had some other kinds of pets before. Like he had a sugar glider at one point.
A sugar glider?
Yeah.
It's not a pet. It's like a wild animal.
No, they're domestic. They can be pets.
Really? I don't agree. They're domesticated? That's fine. I don't judge them, but that's not, I don't know. That's not really a pet in my mind.
And then Jimin doesn't have one. I think he doesn't think that he has the time to take care of one or something. I think that was his reason. I feel like I've read that somewhere. But yeah, I was wondering why, okay, Jungkook was able to bring his one dog. Why didn't they say everybody bring their dogs this season? But, that's probably going to be too many dogs. Like if there was that many dogs, that would be like, dogs would just be running around nonstop on the show. Right. And the show is supposed to be about BTS, not about like a bunch of dogs.
Although, is anybody really that sad when there's a bunch of dogs?
No.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the filming of it, it's like, okay, one is probably manageable if we need to film, a bunch of people and then just one dog. And yeah, they don't want to have it become about the dogs. So there's one pretty hilarious scene where Jungkook and Bam, they're just hanging out in the kitchen, and Jungkook is like smiling and everything's going well, and then all of a sudden he's like, no, 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 no. And it's like, just the editing was funny of what happened, because it was like the dog who was just going to the bathroom, like in their dining room or kitchen area, and then Jungkook had to like quickly try to clean it up because no one else was around right then.
Right.
It'll happen when dogs are in a new place.
Right.
Either they don't know where you're supposed to go to the bathroom, or they think, I need to mark here.
Right.
So that was a pretty comedic situation. BTS member V was spotted by numerous gallery goers on October 13th at the Korea International Art Fair 2021 at the VVIP preview event in Seoul. So I guess there was a VVIP and then a VIP. So he was in like the
VVIP.
Yeah. It was like the elite of the elite.
Well, he's a BTS member, so clearly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So first, the story was like, okay, everybody saw V went to this event and saw the art on display. And then I was like, okay, whatever, no big deal. And then, later on, it became more of a story. Well, first of all, he was there, and even though it was VVIP, there were a bunch of people there. And people even said like, oh, I talked to V, and I asked him to take a picture, but then he declined because he can't take pictures with people. And, this person also said like, oh, you live in this area, right? I live in that neighborhood too. And he's like, oh, okay. Is that so? We might run into each other sometime. So it's like, yeah. So people were talking about, oh, I had a conversation with V. So I was like, first of all, I was surprised about that just he was
why not?
Just out and about.
Well, he's in an art gallery or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, the other people there are obviously not just the regular Joe people.
Yeah.
They're important people as well, probably.
They probably like donated to this art gallery.
If I was an important person, I would expect to be able to talk to V.
So the next day after the art event, a representative of Hybe Labels posted a response to recent dating rumors surrounding V. So, and I was like, oh, I didn't even hear about any dating rumors, but I guess they were all ready to go in debunking it immediately.
Oh, must mean they're true.
So it was then revealed that V was accompanied on this day by the chairman of the board at Paradise Group, and as well as the president of Paradise Group, and
the chairman and the president,
and the daughter of.
What's Paradise Group?
Paradise Group is a South Korean conglomerate best known for its Paradise City hotel and resort chains.
So both the president and the chairman.
Yeah.
That's very big. So both the person that actually runs the company and the person that represents the shareholders of the company. Just letting people know they don't know what that means.
Yeah. And then so someone's daughter was there too. And, they were all there in a group or whatever. And so people started speculating that V was there with that daughter as if it was a date, even though I don't know why anyone would think that, because a bunch of VVIPs went to something all at the same time, that doesn't mean anybody was dating, like just because they're the same age and single.
Well, okay, continue.
So Hybe released their statement. They said, no, there's nothing. Well, Hybe said V and the family of Chairman Choi Yoon-jung are only acquaintances. The dating rumors are not true. And then after Hybe released their statement, V surprisingly had comments about this, and he seemed to be upset about all these rumors, and he posted on Weverse, and he expressed anger and frustration about the whole situation. Well, that's what people interpret it as. I mean, he didn't say directly it was about that, but he said, talking about shooting poison needles at the back of somebody's necks, and then he said, so pathetic, I want to sing Ugh, which is, their song that you know about.
Okay.
So I'm pretty surprised that he commented on it. So he must have been
Well, here's my
pretty
interpretation of
angry.
these series of events. I don't know what your interpretation is, but here's my interpretation. V is dating somebody. It's not this girl, though. So that's why he was so offended when he was seen in public with a random girl. And they said, oh, you're dating that person, because what does his actual girlfriend think? He wants to say, hey, I'm offended. I'm not dating this girl, right? Because he's not actually dating that girl. But he is dating somebody else, which is okay. They're adults. I mean, we're of the position, I think it's well known that we're okay with people dating, but it's not this girl. It's somebody else. And he was offended that people were saying that he's dating this girl. That's what I think is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That seems in line with normal behavior that a guy would have. And that did occur to me too, because I thought, well, why even say anything? Because that's going to just bring more attention to it.
Because he's offended. He wants it be on record that he's offended.
So what I thought had happened, it was kind of similar to what you said, but what I wrote down was that, yes, he was not dating this girl that he was seen with. She is just a woman who was in their group. And his actual girlfriend that he has, that no one knows who that is,
was offended.
Was heard about all these rumors and was like, V, what's going on? Why is everyone saying that? Like, maybe she thought, oh, was he flirting with this girl?
Exactly.
Or why are people so adamant about this? I mean, I'm sure the girl knows, like, okay, it could be totally nothing because fans might be
but
making
emotionally
it up.
You can see how, people, their emotions are what they are.
Yeah, it could be upsetting. And so I think maybe V's actual girlfriend may have heard about all these rumors and it was upsetting for her. And so then that makes V upset because it's like, wow, all these dumb rumors could be damaging my actual relationship. So I'm going to comment on Weverse and, say something about that. And I think maybe he probably mentioned it to Hybe. I don't know if he mentioned it to Hybe, but I think Hybe, because it was, these powerful people were involved, they were like, yeah, let's debunk this rumor immediately.
Well, keep in mind that V has pull now. BTS, every individual member has pull. If they go to the company and say, I want this done, it's just not going to be ignored,
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And also Hybe didn't want all of this negative, all this hatred going towards the woman. Because these are like this powerful group of, the people that own hotels. Like we don't want them on the
no need for
bad
this
side.
Unnecessary garbage.
Yeah, and then V is upset about it because it might be affecting his own relationship. So then he posts on Weverse his frustration. So, I mean, we could be totally like speculating here, but it seems to fit the way people behaved. So
I agree.
And I think the other thing is it's just so dumb. Like V wouldn't be just out in public with someone at an event. It's like, yo, that's my actual girlfriend. Like, what would be the point of just being out blatantly like that? Because idols don't do that. They're a lot more discreet. So just the fact that people thought that might be true, that isn't even logical. But that just shows you how fans talking about something that just doesn't even have a basis in facts, it could damage an actual relationship. That's the power of armies. Like, there's just like so much talk about it, and then it could affect something that's actually going on. So there's a story on Reddit, and it was talking about Twice has been named as a new ambassador for an Indonesian beauty brand known as Scarlet Whitening. And this brand makes, skin whitening products.
Right.
Essentially. And that's available in Indonesia. And I'm sure they made a deal with JYP for Twice to market their products. So I'm sure they paid a lot of money for that. And this person on Reddit was saying, like, a lot of fans are angry about it. And I'm like, I don't know if a lot are, but, some are. They don't like that idea of whitening creams because that encourages, people saying, like, whiter skin is better.
Right.
Colorism.
Right.
And people just feel like, okay, why would JYP do that and put Twice in this controversial situation? Is it like just for money? And, why can't they get better quality endorsements? Like luxury brands and stuff like that.
They do have luxury brands. What are you talking about? Don't they have some?
I think they do, like individually.
Right. Well, what is your opinion on it?
I'm sure that there's some people like Western onces may have an issue with it.
Right.
And I don't know if it's going to affect JYP's process at all, but for it to be a big deal, it would have to be people in Indonesia who are offended by it, and
Right.
they may not be because
it's a local advertising campaign.
Yeah, and it seems like they're, that country and many other countries, they're totally fine with whitening products. They don't see the problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
So for this to matter, it would have to be a huge outcry from people in Indonesia, which I don't think they will have an outcry.
I agree, because they like these products in general.
Yeah, they don't see.
Well,
the
here's
problem.
my take on it is that the complaint about it is that, well, it promotes colorism, right? It promotes this like colonial point of view that lighter skin is better. And although I agree that is a colonial point of view. That's something that, colonialism has promoted. Well, here's where I disagree. The idea that light skin is better is not something that Asians ever needed colonialism to purport. Asians felt that before they ever saw a white person or European on their shores.
Right, like that idea goes back
that idea goes
long
back
way.
a long time. Asians felt that for a long time.
Like they've always had like powders and different things.
So, the idea that Asians don't think that white skin is better, false. I think even in the vacuum, Asians think that white skin is better, just because people have talked about it. Like it represents it's a class thing, right?
Right.
So Asians think that white skin is better. It's not necessarily due to colonialism or Eurocentrism or whatever all these things that people want to talk about, right? And you can say that's problematic or whatever, but it's not a problem for you to deal with if you don't live in that area. It's for them to deal with. This is a local ad campaign. So that's my only issue with it.
Because a lot of the societies back then, they didn't run into white people. They were just all isolated. They were running their own thing.
Right.
And even then, they thought whiter skin is better.
Right. And even right now, who's the most imposing power in the Asian sphere? Who is it? Don't say a white country, because it's not.
China.
Who is it? It's China, right? And does China have do they have colorism?
Yeah, they have colorism.
Absolutely, they do.
Totally.
China believes that lighter skin is better. That's just a cultural thing. Now, if you want to argue that it's a terrible legacy from colonialism, first of all, that robs them of some agency, which I don't think they would appreciate. They would probably say, "Hey, all of the things that we believe, they're just things that we believe. Thank you very much." That's probably what they would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would say, "We don't believe stuff just because white people 50 years ago told us to believe these things. We believe these things because we believe them." And again, I'm not saying that these things are necessarily healthy. Full disclosure, I don't think they are. I don't think that people should think that white skin is healthier than darker skin. They think light skin is better. They do. So what I'm trying to say is maybe just leave it alone. Just let them think whatever the hell they want to think.
I think it's up to the people in Indonesia if they don't this idea.
If people in Indonesia hate twice and they protest twice for why are you promoting a skin lightening cream? Okay, that's one thing. And then maybe the backlash is so hard that they realize that they really shouldn't be promoting skin lightening creams in Indonesia. That would be one thing. But for people in North America to look at them with our values and our point of view and say, "Oh, this is so problematic. That's wrong." Is it really our place? I don't think it's our place.
I don't think JYP is going to rethink this endorsement unless there's some big outcry from Indonesians that are there. So anybody else saying something probably won't have that much effect.
No, I don't think so. Think about how many American celebrities endorse something from China. Do they care about all the problematic issues that come from endorsing? Do they? Or do they just cash their check? Almost every American celebrity you know has a major endorsement from China. You know why? Because they're famous. Because the Chinese love them too. I remember Robert Downey Jr. had something. I don't know if it was problematic, but Robert Downey Jr. had some gigantic Chinese endorsement that he had, right? Mm-hmm. And I looked at it and I just said, "Really? Okay, whatever. But I didn't fault him for it. You know why? Because he probably made like $40 million from it. Of course he would do it. I didn't say, hey, Robert Downey Jr., why are you doing this? I can't support you anymore.
Yeah, how can you support a country that
Yeah, how can you support a country that does this, X, Y, and Z?
that sends people to concentration camps?
Now, maybe I could have said that, but you know what? I didn't. Because I have a realistic accounting of how the world works. And if you have a super big problem with Twice just being the spokespeople for just this cream or whatever, then okay. But you're free to. I'm not saying you can't. Of course you can. Like, you're a free consumer. You can consume anything you want.
Well, and I think the business end of JYP, they've looked at all of the different facets of these deals. It's not like this would be new information for them. Like, if some person protesting about this, I'm sure they thought of all of that and they weighed the pros and cons, and they felt like, well, this is not going to be a big deal for a lot of people, that angle of the colorism. So I think, let's not think that they're dumb and like never heard of any of this. They probably just felt like it wouldn't be much of an issue.
I'll just be honest with you. Even the word colorism, it doesn't resonate with a large percentage of the people on Earth. A large percentage of people on Earth don't even know what that term means. I saw some comments on that Reddit thread that said, like, well, it's going to backfire on them because people in the West are going to... No. Most people in the West are not even aware of it, okay? And most people don't. And even the people who are aware of it, most people don't care. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Fans in the West, they aren't paying, that much attention to stuff happening in our own country, like, let alone keeping track of, Twice is endorsing this product that's in Indonesia.
Right. And, I read the thread, and a lot of Indonesians defended it. They're like, well, this is a skin cream that we like.
Uh-huh.
Well, if a lot of Indonesians say that it's a product they like, I cannot muster up too much offense, considering that a lot of Indonesians like it.
Yeah, why should we be outraged?
I'll be honest with you. Do you even know the capital of Indonesia? I think I know. It's Jakarta.
Jakarta.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. We're both educated people. We know. Is it Jakarta? Can you look it up?
I think. I remember from Amazing Race. Jakarta, capital of Indonesia.
Okay. So, but most Americans don't know that, right? I guarantee you, if you ask most Americans, what is the capital of Indonesia? They would say, what's Indonesia, right? Even though it's actually a gigantic country.
It's a huge country.
It's a huge country. Even though it's a bunch of islands, population is large, landmass is large. It's the largest Muslim country on Earth, and Jakarta is the capital. But here's the thing. Most people don't know that. And we're just spouting off our ethnocentric beliefs and just projecting them onto Indonesia. Like, listen, there's no need. Indonesia is a large, modern country. It can handle itself. Whatever they want to do, they'll do, right? That's all I'm saying. They don't need Westerners to cape for them and white knight for them. They don't need us to do any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just leave it as whatever it is. If they want Twice, it's well received for Twice to be the spokeswomen for some kind of whitening cream, then it is what it is. Perhaps they want whitening creams, okay? I don't know. Maybe they do.
Yeah, and they probably are proud that Twice, this huge K-pop girl group is endorsing, their country's brand, their beauty brand.
Maybe.
They'd be proud of that.
Perhaps. I don't know, but it's not for me to say that they're not, and it's also not for you to say that they're not if you're a North American, right?
Right.
Because that's all we both are. North Americans looking from the outside in. Now, if there's some groundswell of Indonesians who say, hey, this is so offensive or whatever, okay, maybe that's something else.
A BTS fan recently made headlines for her impressive collection of BTS merchandise. She appeared on MTV's Lifestyles of the Biggest Standums, and after this aired, she is speaking up to set the record straight. So her appearance on the show, and it wasn't very long, like there's just a clip of it on YouTube, her section, and her time on the show, 18-year-old Tui revealed that she spent at least $50,000 on BTS to date, and she owns everything from light sticks and albums to clothing, expensive clothing that BTS has worn. I mean, it's not the same clothing. It's like she just bought the same designer brands, is from what I understand. And so she spent $50,000. That includes merch and albums and like going to concerts and traveling and all that stuff. So if you've gone to concerts in different parts of the world, I could see how that might add up to that much. So $50,000. And now she's saying that the way MTV edited her segment, it was unfair and made her look worse or was inaccurate. She didn't like that they focused on the $50,000, just like the dollar amount. But, you know, you're editing a show like this. You need to focus on, you know, what are the facts here? It's like you spent this much. You did this. You know?
And they're going to put the most entertaining, salacious parts.
Yeah, they're going to use the most extreme.
They're not going to focus on the boring stuff. They're going to focus on the interesting stuff, which is that you spent $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's reasonable.
And she felt that the show made it look like she spent her parents' money when it was her own money.
Yeah.
Although she's 18, so she has a job.
Is she 18?
That's what it says. She was 18. And
so she's had a job for a while?
She works and attends school.
Something doesn't add up here. So she's made $15,000.
50.
50.
Yeah.
Working in high school?
I don't know. She said it was her money.
Something doesn't add up here. Okay, so click on the link if you've watched this MTV thing, right? So there's a super fan. She says she spent $50,000 on all the stuff. We can believe that because it's from her own mouth, right? But she's only 18 and she's in school.
Yeah.
She lives at home.
I believe she does because of how she described it. She said, "This is my room."
Right. And she didn't say what her job is.
No. She didn't want to reveal that because then people might track down the employer and bother them.
Well, she did say, if you see... I read the thing and she said, if you see me at my job. So that indicates that it's like some kind of service job, right? Because,
could be, yeah.
I mean, like a lot of jobs, people are not going to see you. Like I would never say, hey, if you see me at my job, nobody's going to see me at my job. I work in an office, right?
Yeah.
Unless you come to my office, and why the hell would you be there? She must work some kind of service job, right?
Right.
That's customer facing, which would also suggest that she doesn't make much money because no job like that makes a lot of money. Very few. So for her to say, if you see me at my job, at first I thought she was older when I saw this story. I thought maybe she was like 22, 24.
Well, someone can spend $50,000. That doesn't mean they had $50,000.
Well, she said she didn't spend any of her dad's money. It was all
her
own.
It could be all a credit card or whatever, you know. Like
true. Oh, well, why would an 18-year-old have that much credit, though? So when she says it's a bad edit, yes and no. I mean, she probably said a bunch of other stuff, like how much she loves BTS and all this, and they didn't cover all that stuff. And they just repeated the salacious stuff about the money and all that. But I think the money, it's the most important part. That's a lot for an 18-year-old to spend, right?
Yeah, but it's not like they documented everything. They just took her word for it. And who knows, like maybe she just estimated or just kind of added it up in her mind.
True.
And maybe it wasn't even that much. Like, who knows?
Right. Maybe it was only 30,000. Well, even 30,000. It's a lot of money. I mean, $30,000 to $50,000. That's halfway to a down payment for a house.
People making minimum wage these days, they could make like $15 to $20 an hour.
True.
So, I mean, that can add up over a couple of years.
And I don't agree that MTV was being unfair. I think they did capture the broad points about makes this. Let's just put it this way. When they cover you, they're not there to cover you the way you want to be covered. They're there to cover you the way that it's interesting to the audience. What's interesting to their audience is, whoa, you spent this amount of money and you are a stan. Because this is the general audience that they're playing to. And you agree to be featured on the show that is broadcasting to a general audience. So
I just think it's shocking. It's 2021 and reality TV. I mean, it's like a reality show pretty much has existed since 2000, and people are still like ever since day one they've complained about the editing if it didn't turn out how they liked.
True.
And people still say that even
people still
today.
say it even though they know there's editing. There's editing. Don't go on a reality TV show and think there's no editing. There is.
And MTV started that too. It's like they had the early reality shows. They had
the first one.
They had the Real World.
The Real World.
And people who were on like the first season, they were
like 25 years old. The Real World.
They were like, I didn't like how it was edited.
Exactly.
So it's like MTV's been doing that since day one.
Exactly. So don't go on these shows thinking that, oh, they're just going to present the truth as I think it. No. I know that she went on Twitter and said, I didn't spend my dad's money. Yeah, not technically, but does she live in her parents' house?
It seemed like it. And you would have to if
she lives in her parents'
if you're 18 and under, right?
Yeah. So in a way, when you live in your parents' house, even when you say, I worked and I spent my own money, are you really spending your own money though?
Well, you don't have to pay for rent. So that money you can use for whatever.
In like an indirect way, you are spending your parents' money, right? Because you're using their resources while you're doing this. Just what I'm saying is she lives in her parents' house. So whether or not she's spending her father's money is kind of just academic. She is.
Maybe she didn't get all the money from jobs. Like maybe some of it was gifts.
Here's the thing. I don't even care. You can spend your parents' money on BTS all you want. But for her to say that, oh, they painted me as some crazy person. No, I don't think so. I think they were pretty accurate.
Well, I just think the $50K was just a combination of some of it she got from, some of that money was from working, some of it was from gifts, some of it she probably put on a credit card, and maybe she even like increased the amount. Because maybe it wasn't exactly $50K, but she just like rounded up.
Right. I think it's right for people to question it and say, wow, you can't really afford this. This is really bad decision making. I think that's fair. I think the
most likely explanation is she didn't spend $50,000. It's just like a number that sounded good.
Possibly, yeah.
Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can listen to BTS Happy Hour on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast platforms, or visit btshappyhour.com. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. New episodes weekly. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Weverse. If you've listened all the way to the end of the episode, comment with a dog emoji on our latest Instagram post. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.